Someone says your name across a room. Everyone turns to look at you. And before you have a single thought about any of it, you feel it. Heat climbing up your neck, into your face. Here's what's strange about that. Your body just took a private piece of information that you felt exposed and broadcast it to every person in the room. On purpose, without asking you. You can control almost everything else your face does. You can fake a smile, force a laugh, swallow a cry. You cannot do this. There is no muscle to tense, nothing to hold. And as far as we know, no other animal on Earth does it. So why does your body do this to you? The answer changes everything we think we know about your own body, about trust, and about what it actually means to have a self. Let's start with the machinery, because your face is not wired like the rest of you. When you get stressed, adrenaline floods your system, and the blood vessels in your skin do one thing. They tighten. That's why your hands go cold and your knuckles go white. Your body is pulling blood away from the surface and sending it to the muscles that would carry you out of danger. Your face does the opposite. In 1982, a research team led by the physiologist Stefan Melander examined segments of human facial vein taken from 12 patients during neck surgery. What they found was an anatomical oddity. The veins in your cheeks carry beta-adrenergic receptors. Almost no other vein in your body has them. Here's what that means in plain language. Everywhere else, adrenaline is a signal to close. In your face, there is a second set of locks, and adrenaline is the key that opens them. The vessels widen. Blood rushes toward the surface of the thinnest skin on your body. And it shows. That's why there's no off switch. You can't clench a vein. There is no voluntary muscle anywhere in that pathway. By the time you know it's happening, it has already happened. And people have tried to shut it off. In 1997, the psychophysiologist Peter Drummond published a study in the journal Psychophysiology, in which he chemically blocked those exact receptors with propranolol, a beta blocker, and then put people through deliberately embarrassing tasks. It worked, partly. The blushing decreased, but it didn't stop. Even with the receptors blocked, blood still surged into their faces. Drummond's conclusion was that there has to be more than one mechanism driving this, which means your body has a backup system for blushing. Sit with that for a second. Somewhere in your evolutionary history, this mattered so much that one pathway wasn't considered enough. And here's the part nobody talks about. In 1872, Charles Darwin published a book on emotional expression, and the longest chapter in it was about this. He sent a questionnaire around the world, 36 correspondents, 18 expressions, asking observers in Australia, New Zealand, Borneo, China, Ceylon, Southern Africa, North and South America whether the people around them did these things. He called blushing the most peculiar and the most human of all expressions. And he asked one more question. Do people born blind blush? They do. Think about what that rules out. You did not learn this by watching your mother's face go red. You did not pick it up from anyone. It was already installed. This wasn't a flaw in the design. This was the design. But that raises a much harder question, and it's the one that bothered Darwin for the rest of his life. Why would evolution build a system whose entire function is to expose you? Everything else about being social is about control. You manage what you show. You choose what to admit. Blushing takes that away. It announces your guilt, your attraction, your shame to the exact people you'd most like to hide it from. A trait that costly should have been selected out. It wasn't, so it must be buying you something. In 2011, the psychologist Corinne Dyke and her colleagues published a study in the journal Emotion. 196 participants played a prisoner's dilemma game against an opponent they could see. In the second round, the opponent cheated them. Then, afterwards, the participants played a trust task, where they chose how much of their own money to hand that same person. Some of the participants saw the cheater blush, some didn't. The people who saw the blush gave the cheater more money, Read that again. They had just been betrayed by this person, and they trusted the one who turned red more than the one who stayed calm. The blush didn't cost them, the blush saved them. In 2012, Matthew Feinberg, Rob Willer, and Dasha Keltner at the University of California, Berkeley published a paper in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology that showed why. Across a series of studies, they found that people who show embarrassment more readily also behave more generously in economic games. And crucially, strangers can read it. Observers who saw embarrassment trusted that person more, gave them more, and wanted to work with them. Embarrassment isn't a social failure, it's a resume. And it works precisely because you can't fake it. Anyone can say sorry, anyone can look sheepish. Words are cheap, and every social species on Earth has some version of a liar. But nobody can push blood into their own cheeks on command. That's the whole trick. In biology, the signals that get believed are the ones that are expensive and impossible to counterfeit. A peacock's tail works as a signal because a sick bird simply cannot grow one. Your blush is the same logic, turned inward. It's a confession you have no ability to withhold, and everyone watching knows it. Which is exactly why they believe it. You are not showing them that you're sorry. You are showing them that you couldn't have hidden it if you'd wanted to. There's a fossil of this idea sitting in the word itself. Embarrass entered English in the 1670s from the French embarrasser, meaning to block. It goes back through Italian and Latin to barra, a bar, and in Portuguese to barraça, a noose. For most of its life, the word had nothing to do with feelings. It meant to be tied up, obstructed, caught. It only came to mean what it means now in 1809. So it isn't your body betraying you, it's your body vouching for you. But that leaves one last question, and it's the strangest one. If blushing is a signal, what part of you is sending it? For a century and a half, the answer seemed obvious. To be embarrassed, you have to be able to imagine yourself through someone else's eyes. That's a specific cognitive skill. Psychologists call it theory of mind, and it doesn't come free. The developmental work is clear about this. Children start recognizing themselves in mirrors somewhere between 15 and 24 months old. And the self-conscious emotions, embarrassment, shame, pride, only show up after that. A newborn cannot be embarrassed, not because it lacks the plumbing, but because there is no me yet for anyone to be looking at. So the assumption was simple. You blush because you thought about what they think of you. In 2024, a team led by Milica Nikolic at the University of Amsterdam decided to actually test it. They published the results in Proceedings of the Royal Society B. Here's what they did. They filmed teenagers singing karaoke. Then they put them in an MRI scanner and made them watch themselves sing it back, which is more or less the worst thing you can do to a person. While they watched, the researchers measured the temperature of their cheeks and the activity in their brains at the same moment. The cheeks got hot, exactly as expected. But the brain wasn't doing what everyone assumed. There was activity in regions tied to emotional arousal and attention. There was activity in the cerebellum, a structure we mostly associate with movement. And the mentalizing regions, the specific parts of the brain you use to think about what other people are thinking, were, in the researcher's own word, conspicuously absent. There was no evidence you were reasoning about their opinion at all. You are not blushing because you worked out what they think of you. You are blushing before that thought arrives. It was never a thought. It's something older than thought, a self reacting to being seen, faster than you can be aware of it. We call it embarrassment, and we treat it like a defect, something to grow out of, to medicate, to cover with makeup, or a hand, or a turned-away face. But what if it isn't a defect at all? What if the thing you have spent your whole life trying to suppress is the only hard evidence that there is somebody in there to be seen? Every human who has ever lived has had this, a vein in the face carrying receptors that almost no other vein in the body carries. A signal so honest that strangers will hand money to the person who can't hide it. A reaction that fires before the thought that was supposed to cause it. Everyone in that room saw it. You couldn't stop it. You never can. And that heat in your face was never your body giving you away. It's the one part of you that has never learned how to lie. And most of us never even knew it was there.